Hey everyone, welcome to the SSW AI team's Sprint 13 review and retro and Sprint 14 forecast. So we have this issue with the report on the side, but we've already yak shaved it to the Power BI team. So let's jump right into it. For the sprint goal, our sprint goals this sprint was to land all of Adam's feedback for Crystal Ball. So Lewis has actioned most of them, and there's just one small change left alongside the homepage to do, and he's handed that off to me as he's going on to client work. The second sprint goal is something that pivoted mid-sprint, which was to record the done video for Tiger. I've recorded a V1 and I'll just be going through the content with Adam after this call before recording a V2. Our third goal was to ship Content Hawk's done video, which was blocked by a few other small issues that Caleb faced. So yeah, we'll dive into that when we go into the sprint backlog. Taking a look at our sprint details, um, we had 5 days and the attendees for the meeting were myself, Eddie, and Caleb. Looking at the internal hours, Lewis was on the project full time, whilst Caleb, Luke, and myself were on it for 2 days, though my stats are a bit outdated because I made a mistake on my timesheets. I was on the project for 3 days.
How did you make a mistake on your timesheet?
I just chose the wrong project on one of them, and then I noticed the numbers didn't add up and went back and fixed it.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Moving on to our sprint backlog, the couple issues that I want to call out primarily are Crystal Ball improve user detail UX. So I'll jump over to that. Updated version, we have a nice summary versus detailed and top three collaborators. And scrolling to the bottom, we have our product backlog that looks a lot nicer and it fits the GitHub sort of UI with pagination and a toggle between completed and open. So it looks a lot better now. And there were a lot of feedback that was action here. There's no questions. I'll move on. Next thing to call out was a change for the user's page layout. So initially on Crystal Ball, we had it where the entire page of users was just one very long page scrolling down, whereas now we are following the proper standards and having pagination in it. So yeah, it looks a lot better now. Moving down, we had a bunch of small bugs that were fixed with Tiger, as well as a few tiny UI changes, such as using numeric numbers instead of spelling it out, as well as adding prefixes to our dashboard so that you can see at a glance roughly what the project is. So Tiger will analyze the transcript and try to take a guess as to what the project is. Moving further down, we have a few small changes for Cheetah in this sprint, which was to remove a couple of noisy sections that we didn't find was particularly valuable, as well as fix up a little bug with the sprint goals input text that was breaking our formatting. So as you can see, there was a bug that allowed text to be written at the bottom, and it looks strange, and now it's boxed in so that all the formatting remains consistent. Moving on,
I
we
didn't
have
understand that boxed
oh,
in. What's that mean?
so basically, so you can see up here, we have our sprint goal, there's a
Yeah.
status, and then we write
Yes.
it out, correct? And then there was an issue where if you clicked on a certain area and then you hit started typing, it would cause
Oh.
for the text to appear underneath the sprint goal.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
So now that field doesn't exist and you're just purely typing in the sprint goal section and you won't ever have to deal with that issue.
So what? There was a rogue text area or something?
So this has to do with one of my earlier changes, which was to make pretty much everything on the field editable at the request of, I believe, the Tina team who wanted to do some of the typing manually. And I guess as a part of that, I accidentally made the outside field also editable, which
Right.
meant
Okay.
if you clicked a certain area and started typing, it would cause it to be not in here, but still technically a part of the outer box.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, just a small fix here. Then we had a bug fix for Sophie GPT in the UAT. Luke, do you want to cover that one?
Yeah, so UAT, so SharePoint query is not working, so it's not consistent with dev. So it found out is because of like Teams app manifest issue. So I fixed this and also fixed some UAT permission issue. So now it's working. Yeah.
Awesome. Moving on, we have a bot labels issue here for Caleb that he's closed up. Do you want to quickly cover that one?
Yeah, so we've got an automated content reviewer on the SSW website that looks at small changes made by Tina and approves them if they're small enough to not warrant needing a human review. It's not currently activated at the moment. Right now, it's just leaving comments, but we wanted to get some feedback from it to see if it was ready to ship. So what I've done is I've added labels to any PRs that it auto approves or auto rejects so that we can gather feedback at a later date and then just enable it if we need to.
Awesome. And yeah, those were pretty much the issues covered in this sprint. If there's no questions, we'll move on. There were a few items that we had to carry over, so a couple of small things to review, mainly videos, as well as deploying Sophie GPT to production and adding content auditing agentic workflows to SSW rules with Content Hawk. Moving on to our sprint velocity, I'll pass it off to Eddie to cover this part.
Yep. Hello. So this sprint, we have had a higher amount of originally committed points and a higher amount of delivered points from last sprint, given the same amount of sprint time. So that's pretty good. In terms of R&D, I've got a few points from myself. For my client work, I've been using a Claude skill that I created in order to fine-tune prompts. So we've got an AI solution which sort of checks whether financial advice is compliant or not. So we're able to fine-tune the prompts that we have stored in that by having Claude run through a set of human-reviewed documents and then compare that to the AI-reviewed ones. And then we sort of got Claude recursively updating the prompt to see if its changes have improved that. So that's pretty cool. And then we've also got I've also been working on local LLM setup for today. It's my one down internal. So keen to get that going. We're getting pretty close to a point where we'll have an LLM that's just remotely accessible. And yeah, it's running Qwen 3.5 at the moment, which is great. And Caleb has used console log to communicate with Claude. Moving on.
Just on that, for Eddie's record, can you move Yakshaver Teams to the end? Because Yakshaver is at the end for all the others. Luke Mao, you're not using Yakshaver at all for anything? You're not needing to report a bug?
I am actually using it, yeah, in this sprint.
Okay. Which version are you using?
I'm just using Teams app, Teams version.
Okay. So Yakshaver Teams. You should be able to notice if there's a problem with your own record.
Yeah,
why
so
have some got bullet points between them and some got commas?
I believe the bullet points are when AI has generated them, and then commas are where people have added them over, and then
Okay. All
from
right.
sprint to sprint, it just copies the existing content. So we're having a bit of
Right.
disconnect here. I might just change it up and I'll create a PBI and get Cheetah to make sure everything's formatted consistently.
You're just going to go with commas, or oh, it's not a big deal. I just wondered.
Yeah. Probably commas. It's just easier for people to type if they add anything.
Right. And what is the bullet point but before everyone's name about?
This is if I need to delete someone from here. So
Oh,
if it's like person X and they're no longer on the team, I just need to delete them.
that is weird to me. I don't know why. I can see. Why don't other columns have the little bullet point, the little cross then?
Such as
No,
which
in
one?
that same thing. What, like the second column? Why doesn't that have a cross to get rid of it?
Oh, you mean the col? Yeah, so it deletes the whole row.
Oh, it deletes the row. Can
Yes.
it be? Can you put it at the end after all good? Like
Sure
that's
thing.
where I'd expect to see delete.
Can we make
Yeah.
it a bin icon?
Yeah, a bin icon would be better. Yeah, probably.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah, I think for this
please
kind
do.
of thing, you usually, yeah, sorry, I think for this kind of thing, you usually have an actions tab at the end, and then that's got like either a pencil icon, a trash icon, or both.
Yes, I prefer a pencil. You press the pencil, you've got delete, bold, different things. A pencil or three dots or something.
Sure
I
thing.
I would have never guessed that what meant delete.
All right, I'll make sure to change that up then. Cool. So yeah, for AI tool usage, Eddie, do you want to continue on quickly?
Yes, no changes since last week, except for myself, who I've got a Codex subscription now, which I'm using mainly just for code review. So I have like Claude and Codex and Copilot all doing code review, which is interesting when you compare the results.
Do you want to add those extra words, codex for code review? Is that?
Yeah.
May as well. Okay, cool.
Good. And moving on, I'll pass it off to Caleb to do the AI stats.
Sure. So for the AI stats, we had Tiger create a book entry with backoff for transcript timing, numeric formatting improvements by Tiago, dashboard prefix updates by Michael Q. For Content Hawk, we had mentioned that the bot labels were about that bot labels PBI that I worked on this sprint, although I believe the AI stats have made a mistake there. That wasn't Content Hawk related. That was something for the SSW website. It has correctly listed that I've worked on an issue that was affecting our newsletter signups on the SSW website. And I mentioned that the Cheetah email template has been cleaned up a bit, as well as some improvements have been made to Crystal Ball.
Awesome.
So looking at the Copilot stats, Michael has spent the vast majority of the time leading the meeting, which is to be expected because he's Scrum Mastering. I've come in a few times to mention some things and gone through my PBIs, and Eddie is at the bottom of the list, most likely because he doesn't have PBIs to discuss this sprint. Cool. And the main issue we completed was fixing the Tiger transcript retrieval errors.
I will just quickly jump in and say that was most likely wrong. Although we didn't fully complete the sprint goals this sprint, I believe the main thing done was adding all the changes to Crystal Ball that Lewis went through. So I'm going to add across here. Moving on to the sprint retro. I brought up that for what went well, that Lewis handed off Crystal Ball smoothly before going on to client. He made it very clear to me what was done, what was left, and the priorities. So picking it up should be easy, and I will be doing that this sprint. And something that went well was that we have 1 day of Eddie back on the team, so he's back with the AI team, even if only briefly. What didn't go so well, I wanted to call out that the AI team roster is currently shrinking. I'm currently the only person on it full time, and starting next week, I'll be going on client. So an improvement that we can make is to prepare proper handoffs and documentations for each project. So whoever has to step into working on projects as people go off can do so cleanly, and anyone else can pick it up. Caleb also wanted to call out for what didn't go so well, that he received sudden ad hoc SSW website work that he wasn't planning for, and that kind of threw him out of whack with the forecast from last week.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that shouldn't happen. Caleb, do you know who you're handing all the website stuff over to?
For things like this in the future, Baba should be able to take over it because he's been getting mentored by Lou on Power BI. I mean, on Power Apps, and that kind of thing.
But what about other website issues?
Um, those could most likely be done by Josh or Isaac if they've got availability.
All right. Okay.
But
All right.
yeah, pretty
Let's
much
get out
anyone
of that.
who's
Awesome. So we'll move on to the forecast. Our sprint goals for this upcoming sprint is to ship the Crystal Ball homepage, which was the last of Adam's feedback from Lewis's V3 video, and then to let Sophie GPT go live. That was something that we discussed as a potential goal, but we needed to confirm with Luke. So whilst we have Luke here, do you want to confirm if that is a good sprint goal, if we should update it?
Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah. I think I need to resolve the test please feedback from you, and then we can deploy to production.
Awesome. So we'll just keep that for now. Moving on, looking at the team this sprint, I should have 5 days of availability, and Caleb should be on for 4 days. Luke will be on the project for 2, and we have 1 day of Eddie, with Lewis and Willow both unavailable due to client work.
I really like that strike through with the word unavailable. Looks great.
So moving on to the sprint backlog this sprint, we have a couple carryover items from the previous where we're going to clean up. And then it is to create the homepage with the portal button for Crystal Ball. Taking a look at our AI stats this sprint, I'll pass it back to Caleb to take a look.
So the main goal is to get the Crystal Ball homepage changes made. As Michael mentioned, we've also got some work on SophieBot there regarding issues with UAT that are blocking deployments and some canary testing that needs to be done by Sean and Stefan. It mentioned the install script that is a goal for getting the Content Hawk video done, and it's also made a mistake there. It says that it's Content Hawk when it should say Content Hawk. The Yak Shaver, we want an MCP server video to be approved by Jeffrey and Lewis. For Tiger, following up with Adam on the V1 of the done video, and general prepare handoff documentation for when people like Lewis go onto client work and are no longer available.
Awesome. And just quickly. All right. So for what is the main item to do next, it says that the main item is to get approval for the Tiger Done video. I'm going to mark that as incorrect, as the priority here is to get Crystal Ball prepared and record a V4 of that. So that comes to an end. I will open up the Tiger dashboard so that we can all take a look through and I can show off the things I thought was interesting. So taking a look at Tiger, something that I thought was quite funny was that's something that Caleb mentioned as well. We've got Content Hawk, Lewis Yu, and Sean when I met Jean from France. I believe those are all changes that you can't really control because Tiger is relying on Teams transcribing abilities. So sometimes the transcript goes wrong and things just look a little funny. Something that I thought was interesting was the elephants in the room. It's called out that team is going 0 full-time capacity. I just briefly mentioned that as a risk. I didn't say that this week we're going to have 0 capacity, which from seeing our sprint forecast, you can obviously tell. So maybe it's a bit of a reach, but I can also see where it's coming from here. Maybe I should have worded it better. It's called out a couple of risk radars that we might have to go into maintenance mode across the products instead of developing new features if we have 0 full-time developers on it. And a couple buried opportunities I thought was most interesting was Eddie's prompt fine-tuning. That skill apparently went from 25% to 60% accuracy on the outputs generated. So I thought that was an interesting area and potentially something we can explore, having AI adjust its own prompts to measure against a certain benchmark. And yeah, those were the things I thought was most interesting with the dashboard. Does anyone have anything they want to check out? If not, I will go ahead and wrap it up here. So this has been the SSW AI team. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Mike.
See you.
Thank you.